Alright, so in this video, I'm going to solve the equation x to the power of 4 minus 16 is equal to 0. So, my only variable in this equation is x, so that's the variable I'm going to be solving for. And now for my solution. What I'm first going to do is rewrite x to the power of 4 as x to the power of 2 times 2. So now I have x to the power of 2 times 2 minus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, if I have something in the form a to the power of m times n, this is equal to a to the power of m to the power of n. So x to the power of 2 times 2 is equal to x to the power of 2 to the power of 2. And I have this minus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, I'm going to rewrite 16 as 4 squared. So now I have x to the power of 2 to the power of 2 minus 4 squared is equal to 0. And if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, a is x squared and b is 4. So this turns into x squared plus 4 times x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Now I can divide this into two equations. I have x squared plus 4 is equal to 0, and x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So for x squared plus 4 equals 0, I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So I get x squared is equal to negative 4. And now I'm going to take the square root on both sides. The square root of x squared is simply x. So I get x equals the square root of negative 4. Now the square root of negative 4 is the same thing as the square root of 4 times the square root of negative 1. And the square root of negative 1 is equal to I, so I get x is equal to 2i, and this is positive or negative. Now for x squared minus 4 equals 0, I'm going to simply add 4 on both sides. So I get x squared is equal to positive 4, and now if I take the square root, I get x is equal to positive or negative 2. So my four solutions are x equals 2i, x equals negative 2i, x equals 2, and x equals negative 2. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be solving the equation x to the power of x to the power of 3 is equal to 729. So, to solve this, what I'm first going to do is take the power of 3 on both sides. So I get x to the power of x to the power of 3 to the power of 3 is equal to 729 to the power of 3. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. Now, m times n, I can also rewrite as n times m. And if something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n is equal to a to the power of m times n, then a to the power of n times m should also equal to a to the power of n to the power of n. So in simpler terms, a to the power of m to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n to the power of n. So now from here, I have x to the power of x to the power of 3 to the power of 3, and I can think of x to the power of 3 as m and 3 as n. So if I switch the places of these two, I get x to the power of 3 to the power of x to the power of 3. And remember, this is equal to 729 to the power of 3. Now, from here, I'm going to let x to the power of 3 equal to the variable y. So I get y to the power of y is equal to 729 to the power of 3. Now, I can simplify 729 to the power of 3. So 729 is the same thing as, 729, let's find some factors of this. So a factor of 729, let's try to divide this by 3. 729 divided by 3, we have 2 over here, so we get 6. We subtract 7 with 6, we get 1. We bring that to 2. 3 times 4 is 12. And now we bring that to 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So I get 729 is equal to 243 times 3. Now, 243, if I divide this by 3, I get 81. So I have this times 3 times 81, or sorry, I have 3 times 3 times 81, and 81 is the same thing as 3 to the power of 4. So I have 3 times 3 times 3 to the power of 4, which is equal to 3 to the power of 6, meaning 729 is the same thing as 3 to the power of 6. And 3 to the power of 6, I can break that down into 3 squared times 3 squared times 3 squared, which is equal to 9 to the power of 3. So I'm going to replace 9 to the power of 3 with 729. So I get y to the power of y is equal to 9 to the power of 3 to the power of 3. And the reason I did this is because 9 to the power of 3 to the power of 3 is the same thing as 9 to the power of 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 is 9. So I get y to the power of y is equal to 9 to the power of 9. And now I can use the property a to the power of a is equal to, if a to the power of a is equal to b to the power of b, this means that a equals b. So in this case, y is equal to 9. Now, recall how I let x to the power of 3 equal to y. Meaning, I get x to the power of 3 is equal to 9. So now to solve this, I'm going to take the cube root on both sides. So I get the cube root of x to the power of 3 is equal to the cube root of 9. Now the cube root of x to the power of 3 is simply just x. So I get x is equal to the cube root of 9. And this is the same thing as 9 to the power of 1/3.